I had a lot of fun watching Speak No Evil. The only thing that would have made this movie more fun is if my sister and my friend were there with me in the theater, because the commentary would have been making under our breath would have been hilarious. So, Speak No Evil is a remake of a 2022 Danish film that I have not seen, so that's not going to factor into my review. Speak No Evil 2024 is about an immigrant American family living in London who they're a family of three, and they run into a British family of three when they're vacationing in Italy. Right away, right off the bat, upon first interaction, the patriarch, Ben, is immediately envious of the British patriarch, Paddy, because Paddy and his wife seem very, very lax. He is riding on mopeds with his whole family in the back. He's flipping into the pool. He's drinking beer midday. No worries, water off a duck's back, etc. Contrasted with Ben and his wife. Ben's wife, Louise, is high-strung, prone to worry. He offers her like beer, and she's like, "It's 3 o'clock. It's a little early, isn't it?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're right." So he's envious, and we'll talk more about his envy because his envy helps facilitate a lot of what happens in this movie. But he's not the only one. Louise is guilty as well. But also Louise is a queen. But we'll get to her once I get into the spoilery part. After vacation ends, they're back in London, Ben and Louise, and their daughter Agnes. Agnes herself is very anxious. She has an emotional support stuffed bunny. Once they're back in London, they receive a postcard from Paddy and his wife Sierra, inviting them to come spend a few days in the English countryside on their farm. Ben has been having trouble finding work since the move to London, and so he's like, "Yeah, I could use a vacation." And Louise, whose spidey senses have been tingling since she met Paddy and Sierra, is like, "I don't really know, and I don't think so." And so then Ben gets passive aggressive. He's like, "Yeah, you're right." And she's like, "No, you know what? We could use a vacation. Let's go." And so they go spend a few days on the farm with Paddy and Sierra and their kid Ant. Ant has a severe speech impediment. He cannot speak. So those are the families. As soon as Ben and Louise get there, boundaries start getting crossed. And I mean right away. Things degrade. Things start going south. It is a great movie. It's the kind of movie where the protagonists are making stupid decisions and ignoring red flags, but the movie addresses that, which is great. But it's also one of those movies where it's fun to talk about how stupid the protagonists are. So I had a lot of fun with it. Let's get into some spoilers. Paddy, played by James McAvoy, and Louise, played by Mackenzie Davis, those two make the movie. Their characters are such great foils. Between her high-strung and her constant looking at them like her all her smiles are forced. She's like, She's clearly judging these people. She tells her husband at one point, their style, Louise and Ben are more polished. Paddy and Sierra look like they smell a little bit. And so let's talk about the envy that I mentioned with Ben. Ben envies Paddy. Because, he envies Paddy's masculinity. Paddy has sex with his wife multiple times a day. He's very manly, right? Meanwhile, Ben is dealing with not having a job, this move not working out the way he wanted to, and on top of that, his wife was talking to other men. But Ben is such a wet blanket, so spineless, I would be talking to other men too. And so, because the scene where Paddy is feeding Louise some meat, not dirty, he's not saying anything, but neither does Louise. And so let's talk about Louise and the dynamic between Louise and Ben. It is very heteronormative, and dare I say white heteronormative. And the only reason why I'm saying white is just because we see this because white people are so represented and relationships between white people are so represented in Hollywood. We see this kind of dynamic all the time. It's heteronormative in the sense that Louise is ignoring her gut. She is sacrificing her gut, her career, her ambitions, and her safety in this movie, and her daughter's safety, all in the name of making Ben feel like a man. All in the name of catering to his ego, all in the name of making him feel like he has more value than he has. Like, he's inherently valuable because he's a human being, but like, you ain't that guy. But Louise wants him to feel like he is that guy, and because she's kind of making penance for cheating, you know, not really, but cheating, she's forsaking a lot of things. The number of times she looks to Ben to like back her up or like say something so that she doesn't have to, the number of times she gives him that look is too numerous in this movie. But I do love the fact that the movie respects how they set up Louise and Ben, because once things pop off, Ben remains spineless. I laughed and I loved when he was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And he's like, he felt bad because he got them into this place, because for the sake of being little bro to Patty's big bro, he was willing to ignore a lot to soak up Patty's masculinity. And so I love that, like, when shit hit the fan, he remained spineless. And when shit hit the fan, Louise's spine only like got tougher. The way she was waving that shotgun around when they were like getting out of that room when they were almost sedated, beautiful. Ben's crimes in this movie are numerous, but the one thing where I felt him in the movie was after they escaped the room, you know, after almost being tranquilized, and Sierra was like, help me too, I'm a victim too, because he got me when I was Agnes's age, and he shut the door and he was like, fuck her. I'm like, yes, Ben, that's how you need to move. That's how you need to move in scary movies. Back to Louise and Ben. Patty at a certain point says they did this to themselves. And they did, in the sense that, like, again, with Louise kowtowing to Ben, instead of like putting her foot down with him, she keeps humoring him. Ben, with his desire to feel like a man by being in proximity to Patty, but also with them looking down on Patty and Sierra, because make no mistake, like, they love the fact that Patty is an ex-doctor. That's why they would even dare go to that dilapidated farm. But they wouldn't trade places with them. They do look down on them. Like I said, Ben and Louise are far more polished. They live in the city. They're expats, aka immigrants. They do look down on them. And there's this whole thing of like saving face and like humoring these people who you look down on and not thinking that they notice. I love that Aunt got the last kill, or the overkill. It reminded me at the end, like, I left the movie thinking about what Aunt has been through, because although we watched Louise and Ben and Agnes like try to survive and stuff, Aunt is the biggest victim. Like, think about the fact that, like, think about how his tongue got cut. About the fact that, like, after he lost his parents, the next couple that came, he probably tried to talk to them, just like he tried to talk to Ben when he went to throw out the trash to get help. And that was a problem. So they cut, no doubt Patty, cut his tongue, which probably scared him into just helping out for the next couple of families. He probably helped dispose of bodies. Meanwhile, knowing his parents are down at the bottom of that lake. And then finally he gets his strength back again to try to get some help. And he saved that family, and he saved himself. And he is just a child. He needs that emotional support. Bunny, Aunt is the GOAT. He is the hero of the movie. Louise is queen. And James McAvoy is incredible and so damn charismatic and so good in this movie. 4 out of 5. Let me know what you think.